with me. Steve, I want to see you dance. I'm starting it again. This is the one with the words.
Welcome to Read
There
My Lips
you
Radio,
go.
a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives.
All of you.
Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers,
lot of people.
screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I'm Radio Red, and those of you who know me know that we were without power for almost 8 hours today, and I already did one show on battery backup, and the power just came on, and I have to tell my three wonderful guests here, Patrick and Terry and Steve, they are so good looking and so charming that they brought the power back on. So I and 42 other homes in my neighborhood thank the three of you for doing that for us.
You're welcome.
So I appreciate. I wasn't going to not do the show, you know that. So here we are on the creativity show, Read My Lips. I am known as Bonnie D, but today I'm akaRadioRed. It's February 2nd. What? 33rd day of the Gregorian calendar in 2026. Steve and Patrick and Terry, did you know that under the old Julian calendar, the first week or two of October was missing every couple of years, and they didn't.
No.
Yeah, Steve, I know they didn't get their birth. I'm a Libra, and it would have, but I wasn't born then. Neither were you. So Gregorian came around. He said, "Mom, before I get to be a pope, I'm creating a new calendar. Every fourth year, I'm going to have something called a leap year. Leap, and I'm going to add one day, and we're going to catch up to the cycle of the moon and the stars and the water and the tides and everything. And October can get all their birthdays back." And that's what he did. It is the fifth Monday of the year. Is anybody here in Aquarius? Anybody? Anybody?
Nope.
Patrick, do I see Patrick? When's your birthday?
Yesterday.
Say it again.
Yesterday, February 1st.
Yesterday. Oh, I wish I had a happy birthday song, but I don't in my many. I'm lowering my hand here. A happy birthday song, but anyway, happy birthday to you. If I say any more, I'll ruin it. So I hope, did you do something special for your birthday?
You know what I did? I played golf really badly, and then I went out to dinner with my family.
That's lovely. I don't know which was more important and which was probably more fun. We'll just say that they're equal. By the way, I have to tell you that today in music history, I think you'll all appreciate this. Before the crash that happened in 1959, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper were on a plane. You know about that? Their last show was today, February 2nd in 1959, and it was $1.25 a ticket.
Wow.
I know. What can I say?
How much
Simon
was the plane ride, though?
Oh, please, let's not go there. I will tell you
Too
that
soon?
today in 1968, Simon and Garfunkel recorded a song that went down in history or up in history, Mrs. Robinson, which you know was used in the film The Graduate. I want you to know that Bill Murray kept waking up to I've Got You, Babe in the movie Groundhog Day, because that's what the day is today. And the Beatles Now and Then won the Best Rock Performance Grammy. Yesterday was the Grammys. The
Wow.
first Grammy-nominated song made with help from AI. This was 2025 last year, and we know all the Beatles are not still around. So there we go. Today is Shakira's birthday, 49. What? Hips don't lie. Tell me about it. Christy Brinkley, cover girl, and somebody's ex-wife. We know who he was. She's 72. Graham Nash. You all know Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And the Hollies. He's 84 today. Farrah Fawcett was born today in 1947. Okay, let's have a fess up here, gentlemen. Does anybody own that bathing suit poster of her in the red bathing suit? Did you have it on your wall?
Oh, I had it on my wall.
Okay, there were
Not
20
more. I wish I did.
20 million of those were sold. R.I.P. Farrah Fawcett. And James Joyce, who wrote Ulysses in Finnegans Wake. He was born today in 1882. Today is Groundhog Day, Tater Tot Day, Ukulele Day. Anybody play the ukulele? I don't know. No ukulele. Read Aloud Day. Well, that's up to you. Bubblegum Day. I don't chew gum. Pork Rind Day. I'm going to pass on that one. And it's Heavenly Hash Day. Does anybody know what Heavenly Hash is? Remember, pineapple and marshmallows and mandarin oranges with whipped cream and a maraschino cherry on top. It's a dessert.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it creamy and mushy and looks pretty and it's pink with, that's called Heavenly Hash. What can I tell you? Today is Heavenly Hash Day, so go make it. And what can I tell you? So I'm ready to introduce all three of you, and I have a gift for you. Has anybody heard the show before?
Oh
Steve?
yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I
Okay.
know what's coming.
You know what's coming. Okay, let's see how I do. So here we go. Here's the new intro. Welcome to the Creativity Show where storytelling ignites like my heater right now. akaRadioRed on her Scarlett Mic live streaming insights. The opportunities of creativity. I named this episode for the three of you because of what you all have in common. The opportunities of creativity, innovation in view, where challenges meet purpose and ideas are new. Patrick Sangimino, did I say that right? Is
You
here.
nailed it.
Oh, okay. Say it again for me.
You just did. Why?
Oh, I
Patrick
thought you said
Sangimino.
I thought I
You
mangled it.
nailed it.
Nailed. I
No,
thought you
you
said
nailed it.
mangled. Nailed. Okay, we'll go
No,
with
you
that.
nailed it.
Patrick Sangimino, Terry M. Iverson, and Steve Williams are here today. Three creative business leaders with wisdom to say. From journalism, manufacturing, mentoring, and more, their entrepreneurial journeys on our roundtable will explore. Leadership, creativity, and innovation align in today's inspiring live cast, timely, relevant, and prime. And I want you to know I went through and redid the intro, that part of it, so that was keyword loaded, Steve. I've been told that I needed more keywords. So, Patrick, you're up first. Here is your introduction, and I hope you like this and happy birthday. Raised in blue collar Pacifica by the restless sea, Patrick learned early who he wanted to be. Smart, but not studious, classrooms were not his lane. Life held more intrigue than textbook formulas to retain. Sports lit Patrick's spark, though he knew by age 11 athlete dreams were slim, but journalism was heaven. Mentors saw his grit where his grades fell short, his coachable mind with a reporter's sport. From weekly pages to daily newsprint's grind, Patrick chased the truth with toughness refined. 40 years later, as Prince's era is growing dim, he wrote, Dogs Chase Cars to honor what helped shape him. Patrick, I hope you enjoyed that.
It was amazing.
I'm
You-
very glad. That's my birthday gift to you. Okay, here
I
we go.
appreciate that. That was wonderful. I don't know how to top that today. How do I follow you?
Well, yeah, there's the challenge. Terry is
Yeah.
next. Terry, I have to add the M because I didn't have that about Terry M. Iverson. Raised in Jacksonville after Chicago days were done, Terry chased every ball under the sun. Football, baseball, soccer. Motion was his forte. At Bowles Prep, he learned grit as his dad found a way to pay. College halls called loudly, Terry, Terry, but none could make him stay. From FSU to Marquette, Terry kept searching for his own way. But writing was constant, sending letters far and wide to hundreds of family and friends, creativity as his guide. That spark became books, even songs along the way. Fueling Terry's voice with something real to say. In his Champion Now and Camp Champ, futures are mapped, where mentoring meets purpose and potential is tapped. Terry?
Wow, I'm impressed.
I'm very, very glad. And it's
Spot on, Red.
it's Steve's turn now. Raised near Milwaukee, where roots run deep, Steve learned early what it means to leap. His parents began with little, yet built lives that grew, a manufacturing dad, an entrepreneurial mom, too. School felt dull, while drums and sports stole the show. History sparked Steve, but math was a no-go. From family business shop floors to sourcing worldwide, Steve crossed Asia, the UK, Mexico, learning leadership from the inside. Stranded in China at 9/11, Steve's story took flight, landing a trade magazine column, now 25 years in the light. Based on Capone, Steve Jobs, Catherine the Great's notorious lore, Steve now offers leadership books, courses, coaching, and more. Steve, how'd I do?
Outstanding.
I'm glad.
I'm going to use that clip, Red.
Oh, it's copyrighted. I'll send you a clip. I don't send the text, by the way. Just it's all in the reading. It's all the delivery. So gather around where the thank you, Patrick, where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway. I want you to all sway as we dive deep into creativity today. Good job, Terry. Radio Red's energy is lighting the way and the power too. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So what'd you think? Do I get a round of applause for that?
Yes.
All right. You're very, very generous. I have to keep this rose from flopping. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I collaborate with somebody named Sylvie, and Sylvie and I mostly speak in French. And I send Sylvie your origin story. I don't ask for bios anymore, gentlemen. You know that. I ask you to dig a little deeper and give me, I couldn't write this with your 3-line media pitch bio. There wouldn't be enough. I need meat on the bones. And I appreciate what you send me. And I send it to Sylvie and I say, help me out. I need 12 lines, not a poem. I need it to rhyme. And she'll send me back a draft in about 5 seconds. And then you're getting the drift here. And then I'll go through and compare it to what you sent me. And I'll go back and I'll say, nope, we didn't do this. We didn't do that. We need to cover this. And I would take 4 lines and I'll tweak them, change the rhymes, change some of the words. I say, I'm going to cover this. And then Sylvia will come back and say, let me polish that for you. And I'll say, okay. And then I think about it. And then I decide what the final was. So I'm glad you all enjoyed it so very, very much. And I appreciate that. So let's go around the table. And we have a lot to cover today. I'd like to have each of you tell us just a little more, because in 12 lines, there's no way I could cover your entire full life story. So, what else would you like us to know basically about what you're doing recently? So, Patrick, our happy birthday person, I'm going to put you on speaker view and I would like you to just tell us a little more about yourself. Take a couple minutes and let us enjoy your story. So, Patrick, welcome.
Sure, that was only 12 lines. I don't believe that. It seemed like it went on forever. Like you got very deep there. Um, let's see. I lived in the Midwest for 32 years. I left California, moved to the Midwest. I was in Kansas City for a lot of years. I covered the National Football League as a sports writer, as a beat reporter for 8 seasons, and I became a columnist. And then, as the newspaper industry is apt to do, you move around. And I ended up in Lincoln, Nebraska, the last 8 years of my life. And before retiring, I moved back to California to be closer to family. And here I am now, close to this big encroaching Italian family who is everything, every stereotype you can imagine. They are up in your business at every moment. They know everything that's going on with you. And I had escaped it for 32 years, but they are back. So I am back.
What are you writing about these days? Tell us about your book a little bit.
The first book was I said it was about the downturn in the newspaper industry, and it's through the eyes of a longtime sports columnist who's driving to work one day expecting to be the latest casualty in a massive layoff. And the book takes place over a single day, but it flashes back to all of these moments in his life, the stories he's gotten to cover, the people who mattered, the relationships he screwed up, and there's a really good. The father is kind of a central theme throughout, and the relationship this columnist had with his father, and how he never really got the chance to tell him how much he mattered until he died, and before he died. And so the second book that I'm writing right now, everybody wanted to know what became of this guy. What happens when you when you lose that job? And the second book is centers around his mother and tending to her in the later years of her life, and almost comedic. The Italian mother with the mangled New York accent and mangling the English word and the English dialect, and just the what do you do with the second chapter in your life? What do you do to remain relevant? And it's heartwarming in some ways, and it's teeth gnashing in other ways, and it's just trying to figure out life in the 60s. So
Thank
that's what I'm
you.
working on right now.
Thank you. That sounds like a real labor of love at so many different levels. Thank you very much, Patrick. Appreciate that. And I want to know what a mangled New York accent is. I don't really know. By the way,
The word artichoke is not anywhere close to that. It's like
okay.
artichoke.
It sounds a little like Boston. I grew up in New
Yeah.
York and I don't have a New York accent, except when I start talking fast, people figure out. Steve, did you know I'm from New York? Could you figure that out?
I didn't. I
See?
didn't.
See, I didn't think so. Terry, did you know?
I had an inkling that there may be a connection there.
Okay, all right, a little bit. There you go. Most of my early life. There we go. Thank you very much, Patrick. Lovely to have you here. And again, happy birthday, Terry M.
Thanks for having
Iverson.
me.
Okay, Terry, you're up, and I'm putting
Okay.
you on speaker view, and we'd love to know a little bit more. What have you been up to? Go.
Well, in moving away from my company of 45 years, I'm trying to do more keynote speaking to young people about manufacturing. Uh, Finished a while back my second book, Inspiring Champions in Advanced Manufacturing, and then, of course, Camp Champ to inspire and inform middle school students, having high school students mentor the middle school students, all while making computerized turning pens and something that they can take home and be inspired about the art of manufacturing.
Tell me something about manufacturing. I know when we started to talk about people bringing their devices to work and when iPads and other tablets got to be popular several years ago, some big companies were saying you could bring your devices to work, and people were all of a sudden saying proudly, my son or my daughter is working in manufacturing on a shop floor and they are running systems off of this thing they're holding. It's a computer in their hands and they are controlling and making decisions and making machines happen and making production happen. And it was a sense of pride coming back because of that new level of literally hands on. Terry, can you tell me a little bit about where that is today?
Well, the computerization, when I first got into the industry in 1980, started to come on and it hasn't slowed down. It's accelerated all these decades. AI, we're still trying to figure out how the latest definition of AI is going to impact manufacturing. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a digital twin component to manufacturing. There's a lot of young people that have digital expertise with gaming and coding, and there's a bright future for them in manufacturing because that's where the industry's going, more automation and more computerization.
There you go. I think that's good. And by the way, I have a show on Wednesday. It's called Technology Revolution. The future is of now. And I do a different industry, business niche, global trend, or a creative genre plus AI. That's the theme every week. And I get three, we'll call them prognosticators, but three futurists. They get to put futurists with a capital F on their business card, haha, after they're on my show. And they share predictions on where AI is going. And it's no doom and gloom. It's always the positive, like the show today, the opportunities, the benefits, the good stuff. You go anywhere else and have people bam, trams, slash, trash, whatever you want. But on my shows, we only talk about the good things that are already happening and are going to grow because it's here. We're not going to be able to stop it. We know that. So thank you very much, Terry. Appreciate that. And Steve, you're up next. And Steve, I just love your hair. I had to tell you that. I'm sorry. I hope you like mine because I really
I
like yours.
do. I told my wife I had to wear my red jacket for the red head and my red book. Absolutely.
Oh, you're very sweet. I'm putting you on speaker view. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Sure. So, I mean, there's a bit of a crossover between myself and Terry. I spent, gosh, close to 40 years in manufacturing leadership positions, and I've seen a lot of the things that Terry was talking about, and some of the transformations going from, Industry 3.0 to 4.0 to now 5.0, and integrating robotics with AI, with IoT, and all those things. And that's kind of my first part of my career. And when I went to one of my biggest customers to work is when I got to travel the world and literally look at 1,000 companies, manufacturing companies. So I got to see every possible way you could do things, what worked, what didn't work, and that kind of showed me that there was an awful lot of people out there that do things right, but just as many that could use some help. So that's when I started my company 13 years ago. And my primary roles are, lean manufacturing, quality systems, and leadership training, and which led into my latest book that keeps me busy right now. And most of my media appearances from the National Publicity Summit have been on promoting my book, and it's way more work than I thought it was going to be. Promoting the book and doing all the appearances and advertising and getting people to to be interested in something you're trying to sell. But it's been very fascinating. I've always been a writer. I've been a writer since I was a kid. And I wasn't always successful, but I knew I wanted to be. And I kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. And this is my sixth book. And I've got my own trade magazine column for 25 years now that you mentioned earlier that was kicked off with 9/11. So I've been published over 250 times. And I tell you what, I just love sharing wisdom, sharing my experience. I've got a unique perspective on a lot of different things by seeing all these different companies, plus my kind of in the trenches work before I started this company. So I have a unique perspective, and Terry and I have, like I said, a lot of crossover, and he speaks my language in a lot of cases. So right now, I'm focusing on the book. I'm trying to keep my other customers happy while I'm doing that, and if I could make a living being a writer and speaking and doing TED Talks, and I actually did a keynote last week for a client on my book, so I'd like to do more of that.
Well, maybe after people see you on my show today, you'll be able to do that.
I
I
hope
have
so.
I have a question.
Yes,
You split a very interesting word for the title of your book.
yes,
Very daring, very provocative, and very compelling at the same time. Notorious.
yes.
Was that your decision? I hope you don't mind my asking. Did you work with the designer? Who decided to split the word without a dash, without a hyphen? Because I thought it was Latin when I looked at it. I did. And I was
That
going to
was
ask
the
you to translate it. And then my brain said, wait a minute, there's something going on. There's something going on. Okay. Oh, Notorious. Go ahead. How did that happen, Steve?
that was the publisher. This is the second edition. The first
Ah,
edition was a few years before this, and then I attended the Jack Canfield Master Retreat and got so much feedback that I had to write the whole damn book over again. And I had to find a publisher because I self-published the first time
hmm
and found out that that's pretty difficult. So I hired a publisher. They redid the cover. They picked the color theme, and they kind of used a spin-off of the original cover, but it was a black and white with a guy in a chair. And then when they came back with three or four designs, I said, I want the red one, and I like the split of the name. It just grabs you and draws your
yes,
attention
it
to
does.
it and pulls you in. It was a hook.
Very
So that
smart.
was, I can't take credit for that, but I love it.
Well, you can take credit because you okayed it.
Yes.
There you
Well,
go.
okay, I'll take
See,
that.
it was your approval that got it to the book. Otherwise, it
Yes.
wasn't going to happen because it was still your book. So that's something about how people use AI today is, and I'm doing a show. Was it Wednesday? It's the future of authors plus AI, everything but the writing. That's the
Ah,
title of it.
nice.
Everything but the writing. And these are writers who are using it for book formatting and for research and for looking up historical references. Some of them are
Yes.
sci-fi, some of them are all different genres. And they're using it for marketing and they're using it for book trailers and they're using it for putting together pitch kits. And so they're using AI for shall we just call it the infrastructure perhaps, or the background, the shroud that goes around actually the writing of the book, because they're not using it for writing. I belong to a poetry group. I do poetry every Wednesday for the Writers Digest group. And I got to tell you, I never, ever, ever, ever would I use AI for any of my poetry. But the rhyming bios, I had Sylvie help me with because it's faster. And I have a couple of hundred guests, hundreds of guests each year. I wouldn't be able to do all of that. So I
Right.
use it as a collaborative tool, but not for my original writing. So there you go. That's my disclaimer. Okay, nobody be
Interesting.
mad at me now. Yes. So thank you all for the bios and the added stories. I appreciate that. Now let's go around the table. I'm going to read the quote you each sent me at my request. You sent a fictional quote from a movie or a TV show or a song lyric. I did a little research on them and I'm going to read it. Patrick, I'm starting with you. And Patrick has picked a quote from Benjamin Button, played by Brad Pitt.
Go around. We had to go round and round to find that
We
one, didn't we?
certainly did, because I only take fictional quotes and they can't be book only characters. They have to be movie or TV on the pop culture scale there. So, Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008 romantic fantasy drama film, directed by David Fincher, adapted by Eric Roth and Robert Swikard from a short story from 1922 from F. Scott Fitzgerald. Who knew? Brad Pitt is a man who ages in reverse, and Kate Blanchett is his love interest lifelong. one of my favorite actresses in it, Taraji P. Henson. Let's leave it there. So here's the quote Patrick has picked, which fits with how I titled the episode today. Our lives are defined by opportunities, even the ones we miss. Steve, this goes to your book cover too. Patrick,
Yes.
I'm putting you back on speaker view. Tell us how we came up with this quote after we went back and forth. Patrick, go.
Balboa quote was taken already. So
Yes.
um, I think life is about opportunities, and and some of them, um, I think we call them God winks. Where somebody, nothing happens coincidentally. It's all planned out for us, and um, these opportunities, you have to recognize them, and you have to, I could have gone Dead Poet Society and came up with Carpe Diem right there too. You have to seize the moment. There's so many things that come your way if you're willing to take a chance and go for it. So
Thank you.
I don't have a whole lot more than that.
That's okay. I appreciate that. And isn't there a quote from Wayne Gretzky about you miss the shots you miss, something about a hockey shot. I forget it, but I shouldn't forget. If
You
anybody knows
can't
it,
make the shots you don't take, or something like that,
something
or
like that. Yes,
but you
yes.
didn't allow me to use a living, breathing person. So
No, that's correct. We don't. And sometimes I have to fight my guests. Yeah,
the
that's
second quote that I sent you was something about from Gentleman Jim Corbett, a fighter from the 1920s. And what was the name of the movie that he did? Or the movie about him? It was beautiful during the Depression. And it was Get Up and Fight Another Round or something like that. I
yep.
can't remember what the quote was, but I loved it.
And Steve already took the Rocky Balboa quote, so I couldn't have two of you with the same quote because I was putting Patrick on first,
We
and
should have
that
arm
would
wrestled for it, Steve.
I
I was up for it, and Red told me that's a frequent quote at
Yes,
the
I didn't know
show.
how frequent. Until Patrick showed up. So there you go. There were a couple of quotes. "You Can't Handle the Truth" from A Few Good Men. Let's see. "All You Need Is Love" from the Beatles. Changes Turn and Face the Strange" from David Bowie's song. There were some other. "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet" from Bachman Turner Overdrive. There are a couple of quotes that have come in, and I'll accept, encourage, require quotes even on my technology show from the futurists who are sharing their predictions. So this isn't just this show. So you think of it, if I have 300 to 500 guests a year, that's how many quotes I'm getting. I learn
Wow.
a lot. I haven't seen 1% of the movies and heard the songs, but I go and do my research. Thank you very much, Patrick. Let's go to Terry. Terry has picked a quote from, this is different, from Willie, played by Gene Wilder. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971. The famous line is spoken to Verica Salt in the chocolate room when she challenges the existence of snozberries during the lickable wallpaper scene.
Right.
However, the quote is originally, and this is where it comes from in literature, Terry, from Arthur O'Shaughnessy's 1874 poem Ode, celebrating creators and visionaries, and it's often sampled in music. The quote Terry has picked is, "We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams." What a beautiful quote. Terry, how did you find this? How did you pick it? And what does it have to do with your creativity? Please.
Well, I think the after I realized and picked chose the quote, it's when the young lady asked Willie Gene Wilder, basically what are snozberries, or I don't know what snozberries are, I don't like whatever. And snozberries represent creativity, and that's what you're all about. And so that's what we were talking about. And children, have unabashed creativity, and sometimes us adults, are more idealistic or realist based. And so I think all of us are challenged as adults to be creative, and I think that's basically what that part of the movie talks about: creativity over idealistic or realistic circumstance.
Thank you. When I go to the summit, you all may remember when I introduced myself, and there were 50 or 60 people in the group when I met Steve and Terry. I tell people creativity isn't, are you a singer and dancer or a painter? It's, how do you create your life? How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you dress? How do you live? What does your house look like? Do you have a garden? What do you do in your spare time? How do you write? Where do you do it? What do you do? All of those things. To me, we're all creating. Listen, nobody told me to sit here in front of a red microphone and do this in my name, akaRadioRed. I'll tell you all later how that came up. But I'm just figuring it out, just like the rest of you are. So we're all creative. And that's the way I think about it. So thank you very much. I love the quote, Terry. And
Thank
now
you.
we get to Steve's famous quote that he's using that Patrick didn't get to use. So here we go. Rocky Balboa, played by who's Sylvester Stallone. He's speaking to his son, Robert Balboa Jr., played by Milo Ventimiglia. I hope I said that right, in Rocky Balboa 2006. Rocky, ring name The Italian Stallion, is a fictional title character of the Rocky film series created by Stallone, who portrayed him in all 8 films in the franchise. That is dedication. The story is loosely inspired by Chuck Wepner, a one-time boxer who fought Muhammad Ali and lost in round 15 on a TKO. The inspiration for the name, the iconography, and the fighting style actually came from boxing legend Rocco Francis Rocky Marciano, though his surname coincidentally resembles middleweight boxing champion Thomas Rocco Rocky Graziano Barbella. That's all my research, Steve. Here's the quote Steve has picked. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life, but it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. How did I do, Steve? Was that okay?
Perfect.
Oh, thank you. I'm a good cold reader.
You had the voice down almost too.
Oh my God. No, take it back. Steve, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Rescue me. Why'd you pick this and what does it mean to you? Go.
Sure. So I thought it was appropriate because my book, and I know we're not pitching a book, but the book has leadership lessons. And the reason I wrote the book was because I made so many mistakes when I was early on in my leadership career. And I had to learn the hard way by doing it wrong and figuring out what I should have done differently. So the book is filled with not only lessons from the leaders I picked, but also lessons from my personal journey where I either succeeded or failed and had to pick myself up off the floor and say, you know what, that didn't work. I got to try something different. From my leadership style to how I handle people to how I would manage certain situations. I thought that was kind of a microcosm for my leadership journey because I got knocked down a lot early, and I wish I had a book like the one I wrote to kind of help me bypass those painful lessons. So that's where it came from, and I thought it resonated with me as a person and my topic of the book. And of course I love all the Rocky shows, so I watch them all 100 times.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. I think that applies to so many of us. I don't know that we all evaluate getting knocked down and getting back up as being a dramatic visualization like in a boxing movie. But over the years, I've had managers, mostly women, who really tried to knock me off my game, exclude me, bashed me, trashed me in front of people, said things that weren't true. Over the years in many different companies, I don't know, it must be the red hair. I don't, Steve, it's got to be something. But anyway, the point is that I just keep getting back up and doing stuff, and I'm still standing. And so there you go. And it's true. It's proof. And I think that's also applies, Patrick and Terry, it also applies to creativity because we know you cannot have a thin skin when you're going out on that limb, going out on that thin ice. Excuse, I know it's winter, but you know what I'm saying, nothing dangerous. When you go out there and you say, I have an idea, I have a thought, I have a notion, I have something I want to write a book, I want to do a play, I want to invent something. And people say, oh, you're so, what do they call the 3 F's, the family, friends, and fools? You try to get to invest, you all know how that goes. My point is that we're all trying to get back up after we say, you're all 3 are here because you created something, you innovated something, you changed something, you upped the game in your own way. And you probably had a lot of bashers and trashers along the way. I certainly have. When I had my first TV show on Long Island TV many years ago, yes, Long Island, I had a neighbor who, before email was really popular, internet was just getting started. Don't don't clock me on that one. A woman called me up and she said, I don't like your lipstick. I don't think you should have had your feet crossed at the ankles. You should have worn slacks instead of a skirt. I had gorgeous legs. You shouldn't have worn a skirt. And I want to say to her, have you done this? Have you been on TV? Have you gone out on an access channel? People were stopping me all over Long Island. I saw your show. I went into a restaurant at one point, Steve. I went to a restaurant and the maitre d' said, I know you. And I said, really? Where'd you see me? He said, oh, your show replays at 1 o'clock in the morning on our access channel here farther out on Long Island. And when I come home from work, I turn it on and I saw you.
Wow.
I went to court on a small claim because somebody bought a car and forgot to pay me for it. It was my car. And the person sitting behind me tapped my shoulder and said, oh, I know you. You're on TV. People stop me in the supermarket. So anyway, she told me she didn't like my lipstick and so I changed the lipstick a little, but I kept wearing the skirt. We'll just leave
Good for you.
there you go. So talking about getting knocked
That's right.
down in your high heels and your skirt, that's something I do, not the three of you. Okay, let's go on. I am ready to go on with, thank you for the quotes, the three of you. I appreciate the research. And Patrick, you are a real champ, to coin a phrase here, in working with me to find a quote that wasn't the same one as Steve. So let's go.
Sorry, Patrick.
That's okay. That's okay.
I still love you. Don't worry.
I know
Okay.
you do. You love me or you love Steve? Let's not talk
I
about
love
that.
you all.
You're sweet.
Yeah.
You're sweet. I go through my notes about a week to 10 days before the show, so it isn't always obvious to me that there are quotes that match. And oh my God. And then I have to say, whoops. Okay, here we go. Now it's time for the creativity statements. I'm going to pick one or two from each of you, and I've got two teed up for Patrick. Patrick, you don't need to find them. I'll read them. And I'd like Patrick to take about 2 minutes to just unpack these for us. They stand on their own, but I want to know more. And then I'm going to ask Terry and Steve if this resonates with either of you, if it means anything to you, or just, nah, that's his problem. No, it's something that just he does. But let's make this into a round table. So
Yeah.
Patrick says, number one, I am most creative in the morning. I hear this from a lot of writers. And number two, he says, my writing creativity is enhanced by the presence of jazz or classical music. There's the aha. Patrick, tell us more. We want to know what kinds of music and where are you playing it and what kind of in the morning and where are you writing? Come on, give us a scoop, please. That's a newspaper word. Give us a scoop.
I know. I noticed that. It sounds like you've been in the business, but
I have. I was an assistant editor of a local paper years ago.
I
Go
can
ahead.
tell.
Mhm.
Anyway, with due respect to the rock and roll and the 70s funk I grew up with, um, you cannot write and have words to the music going on because you'll find yourself singing. So you need something, you need some music, just some melody, just to kind of loosen up the inner it kind of lube the joints a little bit, the writing muscles. And that's what I'm required. I need to have a little bit of just um some music going, and it just kind of inspires you. You get lost in it and you start writing. Um I have a workspace that I do my writing in, and it's just a place I go, and I'm alone and I have it cranked up very loud and I just do my thing.
Okay, let's see what the other two gentlemen say. Is anybody else writing in the morning and using music? Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, early in the morning, it's generally speaking, it's quiet. I'm by myself, usually waking up with coffee, to say the least. Probably not using music early in the morning, but I have listened to music a lot. I don't really, when I listen to music, I listen more to the beat than the words. So the words just
Mm,
kind of flow in and flow out, and it doesn't bother me. When I
mm.
used to study when I was a kid, I had AP Physics, AP Calculus, and I'd listen to rock music and it never bothered me.
During AP
So
calculus, you listen to
no,
rock?
no, during study time at home. But
Wow. No,
but I
I
do.
figured that. Wow, that's a lot because I took AP calculus too and I couldn't listen to anything. But go ahead.
So one of the things that I wrote about is I have ADHD, that I do get distracted and I can only focus for a certain length of time.
Hmm.
And oddly enough, when I'm flying, 40,000 feet in the air, that has actually been historically where I've been most creative.
You're giving away the statements I'm going to read from you next. Don't say anything
Oh,
more.
I'm
Don't say
sorry. I'm
anything more
sorry.
about that. That's what we're going to get to in a second. Thank you. Steve, anything about music or early morning writing? Anything you can share with us?
I need background noise. My form is more I'll turn the TV on and I have no idea what's going on, but I need some kind of something in the background, something about my brain. I can't just sit here in silence and create it
Hmm.
out. But as far as the morning go, my writing process is chaos because once I start and I get an idea, whether it's for a poem or a short story or a book, it's 24/7. I mean, I find the most ideas pop into my head at the most inopportune times. It'll be the middle of the night, and I'll
Hmm.
wake up and I'll send myself a text about something that popped in my head that I want to
Hmm.
explore in the morning. And or I'll write down a note on a nightstand, or I'll send myself an email, and it's just constant because once I lock into idea, it pretty much obsesses my thought process until I can get past that. So it that's just the way I'm wired, I guess. I wish I could sit down and say, I'm going to write for 2 hours, take a break. I can't do that. It's bits and pieces here and there. I think morning is more productive, absolutely, but I'm a night owl. So after my
I
wife
am
goes to
too.
bed, I'll stand up for, sit up for a couple of hours and jot down notes or finish a chapter or write an article or do something when I can have some of my alone time while I've got something in the background going on.
By
So
the
yeah, it
way,
absolutely resonates.
David Byrne from Talking
Something to
Heads.
that.
Go
Um,
ahead, Patrick. Go.
Having written a lot of my life in newsrooms and press boxes, there's chaos going on all around you. So
Hmm.
putting in headphones was kind of the way
Ah.
it was almost like closing the door to your office and getting some quiet.
Mhm.
And I think that's where I got mentally groomed for that whole thing.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
Interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
And I was going to say to you, Steve, that I have a quote I was going to read later, but I won't now. David Byrne from Talking Heads was interviewed on somebody's How Things Happen, I think it was called, by somebody. I have the name of the person whose podcast he was on. It was an interesting quote, and he calls those small beginnings. And he
Hmm.
says it's mostly with artistic people, with musicians, where they'll have he said he just has an idea, a nonsense lyric or a note or two, and he'll write them down. And then he makes a note to himself, go back and develop this. He
Hmm.
says, you can't start with nothing. Excuse me, I'm all choked up here. Hold on. It might be the heat coming on. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Now, thank you very much, Patrick. That was a good starter for the roundtable. Terry, I'm going to. Terry, you preempted me. Terry says, I created Finding America's Greatest Champion, my first book, when I was flying to Taiwan, 13 hours on a plane. Then he says, I named Champion Now an acronym for your 501c3 when you were flying to Washington, D.C. to a CTE Education Foundation board meeting.
Mhm.
And then Inspiring Champions in Advanced Manufacturing, your second book, you wrote it during COVID-19. So we're talking about periods of isolation, periods of being in a small space, as people away from people. Tell us a little bit more, Terry, about these moments. I'm going to mute myself so I can cough politely here. But go ahead, Terry. You talk, and then I'll come back and I'll get Steve and Patrick in. Go ahead.
Well, being that I get distracted pretty easily, I usually have to focus in very intense focus sessions. Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 30 minutes. And then I have to move away and then come back. Well, what I found is when I'm on an airplane and hopefully have a laptop with me and on a long flight have a power cord as well, that I just randomly, focus and have the ability to really focus for long periods of time. So when I started my first book, I think I wrote on that trip to Taiwan, I think I wrote 40,000 words in one sitting, literally in one sitting.
Hmm.
And so, and it wasn't anything scripted per se or organized. It was just a purge of just information and relationships and concepts. But I do find myself that I work very well with the deadline. People that
Hmm.
have distraction issues like I do, you have to have a deadline. And most of my life, my best work was under pressure and with the deadline at hand. So those are my two, not secret sauce for me is either being on an airplane or having a deadline or isolation, one of the three.
I appreciate that very much. And as a matter of fact, you all can figure out I'm deadline driven because my shows, this show and my Wednesday show, are on at the same time. I don't miss a show, even with power outage. I won't miss a show. And when I go on, I go on. If I'm telling people my show's on at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be there no matter what. Talk about deadlines. I know I prepare either the night before or a couple of hours before that morning, but I'm going to be there. So my life is deadline driven. And Patrick, I was the assistant editor for what turned out to be part of a larger series of community newspapers on Long Island. I can't remember the name of the company. I should. And I was the assistant editor. I had to go on press every Tuesday in Mineola, Long Island. And I was shocked that nobody had proofed the captions for the pictures. And I was always saying, but there are 5 people in here. There are only 4 names. And I start getting on the phone. They said to me, what are you doing? I said, because we can't publish a picture with 5 people who everybody knows in the community, only put 4 names in there. And I was that who was always looking for making it right. And I was always moving things around, editing and talking to the layout people. And I don't think they liked me too well because I was doing stuff that they didn't expect in a community newspaper. So there you go. So Patrick, talk about deadline driven. I knew every Tuesday I was going to make that trip and I was going to go and I was going to be there for sometimes till 8 or 9 at night. Nobody stayed that long with the production people. But deadlines were, I knew that paper was going to bed around 8 o'clock that night. It was going to publish the next morning. And I wanted it to be right, even if my name wasn't on it. There we go. So talking about deadlines and being on planes, Steve or Patrick, can you relate to what Terry just said?
Oh, I can absolutely relate to it. I mean, this year marks my 50th year in the business, so I'm an old guy. They didn't have the term ADHD when I was a kid. They diagnosed me as hyperactive, which is the same damn thing now, I think. So I totally get that. And I've got a short attention span, and I'm finding that's common among people like us in this group, that my mind's going a million miles an hour and thinking about 3 or 4 different things at the same time. And I have a very short attention span, and having a deadline to focus on really kind of keeps me in my lane. So Terry, I totally get it and agree with you 100%.
Yes, absolutely. Patrick, what do you think?
My deadline, obviously.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is, okay, so as a retired person, it's so funny because you no longer have these deadlines, but you still live by the deadline. You're still a prisoner of the clock and where you have to be, even if you have nowhere to be.
Yes.
But you're still always looking at the clock and you're always wondering what you should be doing next. Now, the daunting thing about writing a book, when you have a 700 800 word deadline every day, you're gonna write a column, which is nothing, 700 800 words. You just kick it out. Now you're talking 90 to 100,000 words, and it seems overwhelming. And where'd that
Sorry.
come from?
I have sound effects. I had to do
All
it.
right.
I have one more for you. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Go ahead. That's for
So
you,
all of a
Patrick.
sudden, it's I never considered like the idea of writing a book until I wrote a book, and then it was
That was
because
good.
it just seemed like too big of a process. But I get up in the morning and I'd write 1,000 words a day, and at the end of 90 days, I had a book.
Mm.
So it's how do you eat the elephant one bite at a time, and if you look at it in these small chewable bites, you can get it done. You can get a lot of stuff done in 2 hours a day, and 2 hours is nothing. You can stand on your head for 2 hours. Well, I used to be able to, but it's not anymore.
I
um,
once danced in an overnight marathon for a muscular dystrophy in a dance-a-thon, and I danced for 26 hours with
Oh
3
my
breaks
goodness.
with a partner. But I was 26 years old and 97 pounds, and we raised so much money through the donation. This was in Eugene, Oregon. We raised so much money, but my muscles were eating themselves by the end of
Oh,
the day, and I couldn't walk for 2 days after that. But
wow.
anyway, so we've all used to do. But I want to tell you all that I've been writing my novella for about 3 years now, and there are weekends where I say, Sunday I'm going to write. I'm just going to write Sunday. And then I'll do anything. I'll play Wordle. I'll play Words with I have 50 Words with Friends games I play every night. I'll find anything. I'll go clean out a pantry in the kitchen, something, anything but. And then when I'm ready, I'll go. And it could be 1 o'clock in the morning and say, I'm going to go. And I thought I was just doing minor editing, a little bit. It's basically done. It's a novella. It's like 150 pages. That's it. I can't write a 700-page novel, but it's sassy. I'll tell you all about it off air. But the point is that I had a revelation about 2 days ago. And Steve, I woke up one morning and I said, oh my God, I didn't finish developing the two beginning characters in this saga. I need to go back and not rewrite, but fine tune their characters. And I forgot to put them into the rest of the book because they're part of the continuity. Everybody's going on, no, they started this. What did they do while everybody else was doing everything? So I went back in. This was just over the weekend. And I went back in and I started writing, saying, oh my God, I got to change this. I got to change that. I got to streamline this. So it was almost as though the idea of working on those two characters was gelling. It took a while for it to be a revelation, Patrick. It took a revelation until all of a sudden it said to me, you're not just changing a word here and a verb there and an adverb there. You're working on these two characters. How exactly did they get to what they did and what happened next? I forgot what happened next. I forgot I did what they created, but not what they did about it, what they thought about it, whether they were part of it. I just wrote them out. I let them fall off the edge of the cliff there. So that's what I'm doing. But
That's the amazing thing, though. It
yeah,
becomes so consuming when I was in writing mode and I was writing that 2 hours a day. The rest of the day I was thinking about it, and then you go back and you start rereading it and you clean it up and you're expounding on those thoughts even more because you've been thinking about it all day, but now you have thoughts down on paper and
yep.
you could just build this thing out. And it's this there's it's almost like a synergy you've created between
Yes.
you and your mind.
Yes.
It's
And the characters.
ridiculous.
I have an important question. Can you all stay past the top of the hour because we're almost done and we're not
I
done
can.
yet?
Sure.
Can
I
you?
can.
Terry and Steve, good. Jordan is telling me we're gonna wave goodbye to Voice America Empowerment in a minute. We're just gonna say bye bye, and we're gonna keep going, and I'll finish us off on my 4 channels. So that's fine. We do that once in a while, but there's just so much we're talking about. I don't want to cut it short. Okay, Jordan. So you just give me a sign here in the notes, and we'll all just wave goodbye, and then we'll go. Okay, so thank you for that, Steve. I want to go to your creativity statements. You've already talked a little bit about them, but I want to read them 2, 3, and 4. And I'm keeping an eye on what Jordan is telling me. 2 minutes. Okay. So Steve says, I have no formal plan with quotes around the word plan. My creativity comes from anything, anytime, anywhere. I'm most creative after having a storyboard for an idea or concept that has popped into my mind that I can turn into an article, a video, a book, training. Ideas come at the most inopportune time. And now that's the word I want to focus on. Watching a movie with my wife in the middle of the night. I constantly send myself texts or notes so I don't lose the thought or ideas. I know you said this as an aside, 1 minute, aside before, but I'd like you to expand a little more on this, Steve, because I think it applies to all of us. So go ahead. You know what? Everybody just wave goodbye. Bye, Jordan. Bye, Voice America Media Empowerment. Thank you very much. Jordan's going. Okay, he's signing off. All right, good. We're going to keep on going.